in the Jesus life. Okay, here's one. This is when he turned water into wine. This is his first miracle. This is John chapter 2, okay? Okay, and on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the wedding. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus saith unto him, they have no wine here. And Jesus saith unto her, woman, what have I to do with thee? Just life. Mary was a fucking alcoholic. He took her to a wedding and there's no fucking wine, Jesus. What am I supposed to do here without wine? And he's like, Mom! Don't! Anyway, you know the rest of the story is that Jesus, he's at the wedding, they had no wine. So Jesus went to the guy running the wedding and he was like, look in the water barrel. Like that, like a close-up magician. Why don't you take a look? Maybe it's not the Red Queen. Go ahead, flip that card over. What do you think? Told him to look in the water barrel, and he looked, and it was wine. He had turned all their water into wine. Everybody rejoiced. Except the guy running the wedding was probably like, we did need some water. It's actually a bigger problem. I have a feeling a lot of his miracles were met with mixed. Like, oh, thanks. That's great, Jesus. Fuck. Like Lazarus. Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. And Jesus comes to town and he says, Lazarus, rise. And Lazarus comes out of the tomb like, and Lazarus' wife is like, are you fucking kidding me right now? But so here's a story that I want to read to you. This story, I've never seen it in a Jesus movie. This story is not in any movies about Jesus. And it's not, I never, until I sat and read this, I never heard this story. Because it's weird. And at the time I was a writer for the Conan O'Brien show, and I had written there for 2 years and I was burnt out and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went to the head writer and I said, I have to quit because I think I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. And he said, take 2 weeks off and we'll pay you for the 2 weeks. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I had nowhere to go and I thought, maybe I'll go to Russia. I really don't know why. I can't really explain any decisions I made then. Because I have children now, so you don't have to search when you have children. You're not like, oh, what could I do to enhance my life? You're just sort of compelled to do whatever comes at you at a certain age in life. But I was in my 20s, I had no wife, nothing, I had no girlfriend even. I just was this guy and I had money from a TV job, and so I just said, I'm going to go to Russia, because when I was a kid I used to read Russian novels and I loved them and I would open all the windows so I would be cold, and I wanted to be cold like they were. So I just decided I'm going to go. And also somebody told me that the wall had just come down in the Soviet Union and that Russia was a really crazy place at the time. So I said, I'm going to go there. I speak no Russian. I can't even look at the alphabet and understand what I'm looking at. There's no place more foreign to me than Russia. So I went. I went to Moscow, which is, when you land in Moscow, it's just forest, and there's a city in the middle of just forest. It's terrifying. And as the plane goes down, you're like, no, I didn't want to really do this. And the whole time there, I couldn't fend for myself. It was already a country that was just broken in pieces. And the weirdest things happened to me there, and they just became normal after a while. Like I was in a restaurant, and a waiter came up to me, not my waiter, and he said, Coca-Cola? And I said, uh-huh. He said, Coca-Cola. And I said, sure. I don't drink Coca-Cola, but I had learned by that point to just do what they're asking you to do. Sure. So he went to the kitchen and he got a Coke in a can and he handed it to me and he said, $5. Because only dollars were worth anything there. And I said, okay, on my bill. He said, no, $5, me now. So I gave him $5, and he put on his coat and he left. He just sold me a Coke on the side and then quit his job. So those are the kind of confusing moments I was having there. And I couldn't talk to anybody, and I was so lonely. It's difficult. I mean, I was alone, and I just sit in the room and go, okay, that was a really fucked up day. I hated that day. And I tried to watch television, and the TV was American shows like Dynasty. And the way they translate, they didn't have, what they did was the sound is a little down, and there's just one man saying all of the dialogue over the whole show. I was there for 2 weeks, and it just was crushingly, I had made no contact with anyone. And then one day I went into the subway. Now, if you've never been to Moscow, the streets in Moscow during the Cold War, they were made wider so that they could have missiles going down the middle of the street for the parades. And if you go there, you'll find out, if you go behind the big buildings, they actually tore the buildings off of their foundations and dragged them back. And a lot of the bigger buildings in Moscow, in the back, they're being held up by like bricks. It's really unnerving how unsafe the whole city is. So the streets are very wide, and you can't cross the street on a green light. You'll never make it. So they made tunnels so you can go under, and those are connected to the subway. And the subway in Moscow, you go down in an escalator and you keep going until you think, it just keeps going. Like, this is so deep, this is really upsetting. But anyway, everyone hangs out in these tunnels. I went in the middle of December. I went to Russia in the middle of December alone. And I'm standing in the subway and I'm watching a violin player. And the one thing about Russia still today, I think, is that no one has any money. So when you see a guy playing the violin in the subway, he's like the first chair violin for like the Russian symphony orchestra, because that doesn't pay shit. And at least he can get a few kopecks in the subway. So I'm watching him, and these other people are sitting on the floor, and we're crying. Everybody's crying. Everybody. It's just normal. People are just watching, just wiping away tears. And there's a young fella sitting here, and he looked my age. I was 25 at the time. He looked about 25, and he was tattered and just watching this violin player. And then this group of kids walked by, about 8 children, ranging from 5 to 10 years old, and their faces were dirty, like in Oliver Twist, like they were in a play. Like they had rubbed dirt on their face. And they're all wearing men's coats that they're wearing as from the neck down to the floor. And none of them have sleeves, their hands in their sleeves. Their sleeves are just flopping. They were like street urchin kids. And the coats, it just looked like these men's coats. And you kind of knew all the men who owned those coats are dead. And at least one of these kids killed those guys. Like, I swear I looked at an 8-year-old's face and thought, he has murdered. And that's what they looked like, just tough little kids. And I'd seen them before in Moscow. They work in groups. The guy sitting below me that I identified with called out to the head kid in the front. I don't speak Russian, so I just knew he was going, he's appealing to him. He needed something. And the kid with his hands in his sleeve looked at him suspiciously and said, like, what the fuck, why, what do you want from me? And the guy went, explaining himself, and he showed that his shoe had come apart. And he showed that his shoe was like a flap, and he showed the kid, and he showed him his shoe, and the kid shrugged and said, like, okay. And the kid's hand appeared from out of the sleeve, and there was a tube of shoe glue in his hand. He didn't rummage for it, it was already there. And he handed it to the guy, and the guy fixed his shoe with the glue, gave it back and just And then the kid from he took his other hand had a paper bag, and he put the glue in, and he huffed it, and his eyes rolled back, and he got high. And then the group kept going, and I couldn't believe what I just saw. That the misery in this country at that time was so calculable and so predictable that this guy thought, my shoe's broken. Oh, there's a child. He's sure to have some glue in his hand because the state of our nation is so wretched. And I looked, and he looked at me, and I was startled, and then he laughed, and I laughed. And he's the only person I had any contact with in the whole of the Soviet Union. And I realized this is why I came here, to find out how bad life gets, and that when it's this bad, it's still fucking funny. That's all I got. Thank you. I mean, I've always pursued love my whole life. You know, even when I was a kid, I loved girls. I loved them. And it was all, when I was 12, I discovered that girls are the greatest thing. And I would ask them out. That's what I did. I just walked up and asked them out. I had no fear. I'd go up to any girl I liked. Hey, you want to go out with me? And she's like, no! Because you weren't supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to just ask her out. There was a system. My daughters told me it still works this way in middle school. There's a thing where the boy asks his friend to ask her friend to ask her what she would say if he asked her out. How did children just know this Elizabethan parlor thing? 12-year-old boy, please inquire after her maiden friend. Were I to request her presence, what might be her answer? Indeed, my lady would enjoy your company, sir. That is well. May I finger her? You are bold, sir. And finger her you may. And finger her I shall. Anyway, I didn't do any of that myself. I would just ask them out. Girls said no to me. Till Rachel. Rachel was the first girl who said yes. I asked her to the dance in 8th grade, and she said yes. Happiest moment of my life. Even to now. I never beat it. Anyway, Rachel said yes, I'll go to the dance with you. So we went to the dance. I was 13. It's my first time with a girl. And about 5 minutes into the dance, she comes up to me and she says, do you mind if I dance with Jeff? I was like, okay. Because what other moves did I have at 13? What else are you going to say? Do you mind if I dance with Jeff? Yeah, I do. I mind very much. What the fuck do you think this is, Rachel? You know what? Get your shit. We're leaving right now. Get your shit. Shut the fuck up, Rachel. I swear to God. I didn't have any of those tools. So I said, okay. And she danced with Jeff and made out with Jeff and left with Jeff. That was it. And I learned, by the way, that guy Jeff, this is a true story. That guy Jeff, he's a woman now. That's what happened. It's true.
I was looking and she has a whole blog on Facebook about becoming a woman. I was up all night reading it. I was crying. It was amazing. I was like, this is incredible. And then at the end, there's a picture of her with hair, and she says, I didn't change. I knew what I was all along. I knew I was a girl since I was 6 years old. And I read that, and I thought, why'd you take my fucking date then? You knew, you piece of shit? Fuck you, Jeff. Fuck you and your journey. I don't give a shit now. Hooray for transgender, but fuck you, because you're just an... I always hated penises. I hated my father's penis. I did. I hated my father's penis. Well, when you're a little boy, sometimes you gotta see your dad's dick. If you go to a restaurant, you're probably gonna see your dad's dick. I should explain that, right? That sounds like I have a weird father. All right, we're going out to eat. Everybody take a look. No, sometimes if you go to a restaurant with your family, when it's time to pee, you go pee with your dad if you're a little boy. If you go to a ball game with your dad, I remember there was never urinals, it was just a trough. And the little boys and the men stand there together. And the men are just standing there. And we're down here, the little boys. And the dicks are eye level. Just horrible, hissing dicks. In both directions, like a chorus line. Just... And my dad, worst. Because my dad, first of all, my father's Mexican. It's true. My father is Mexican. I'm not. I'm not Mexican. My father is. Just because some Mexican fucked my mom for years doesn't make me a Mexican. Just makes her a whore. But anyway, my father had a Mexican, Catholic, uncut, raw, organic, local, fucking free-range Mexican dick. It was just so basic. It was like a farmer's market yam just sticking out like a tamarindo pod. And the pee would spray out of it. I'm like, Dad, open your dick before you pee out of it. It's like you're pissing out of the corner of a pillowcase. And my dad's had a weird life, too. When I was 10 years old, my parents got divorced, and he converted to Judaism. He didn't turn into a Jew. It's not like my dad was like... He converted to Judaism. And I had friends who were Jewish, and I knew that they had little clip dicks, little neat. And then I remembered my father's alligator claw of a penis. I really hate penises. That's really my problem with being gay. That's why I'm not gay. Men are fine. I'd like to have a boyfriend. That would be nice. I would. Every time I hear somebody say my boyfriend, I'm always like, I want a boyfriend. Why can't I have a boyfriend? I'd like to have a big, tall boyfriend. That's my boyfriend. I'm mad at my boyfriend. I get to wear his jacket. It's all big on me. I'm like, it's my boyfriend's jacket. I feel I'd like to have a big dude in my life. Comes up behind me like this. I'm like, hi. Like, I know that would be nice. But in order to get all those parts, you have to have a fucking cock shoved up your asshole, like a hard dick ramming in your ass. Oh. I really think that white people are from like another planet.
Because when we came to America, it was so nice. It was just Indians, and they weren't even Indians. We called them that by accident, and we still call them that. Like we knew in a month that it wasn't Indians, but we just don't give a shit. We never correct it. We came here, they're like, hi, and we're like, hey, you're Indians, right? And they're like, no. No, this is India, right? No, it's not, it's totally other place. You're not Indians? No. Ah, you're Indians. You're Indians for hundreds of years after. We ruined everything here. This was the great, it was just coast to coast, just green and brown and beautiful. And all the humans were just walking around with painted faces, just walking. And they'd be like, ooh, that looks yummy. And then they just eat from the ground. And then they'd sleep on the grass. And they'd wake up and they'd fuck. And then they'd go for a swim and do a little dance. That was the whole continent, was just folks doing that. I mean, there was people in Mexico cutting off kids' heads and rolling them down the pyramid stairs. But that's always going on. What are you gonna, you can't do a whole lot about that.
Days that you spend with them. That's really the hardest part. It's just every day that you have them is the hardest part of having kids. It's just every day. It's getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, which, first of all, I'm not that guy. 6 o'clock in the morning. I have blown off entire careers because of one day I didn't want to get out of bed. Like, I'll just not be that then. I have to, first of all, I got to get them dressed. That's number one, because that's the one that people will notice. That's the only one. If that's the only one that I get done, I'll be okay. Because I can't, if I show up with two naked kids, I'll go to jail. So I have to, but I can not feed them. They're fine. I ate. They're just a little tired. It's fine. And then I got to get them to school, which means walking. The older one goes to kindergarten. It's third grade. Jesus Christ. I just said kindergarten. And she's in third grade. You know what's even worse? She's not. She's in the second grade.
Anyway, so yeah, wolves are like dogs.
Thank you for asking.
Every day you spend with your kids is torture. And it's because I love them. If I didn't love them, I wouldn't matter. I just play poker with my friends, come home later, oh, they're dead. But I love them. I wiped my daughter's ass for the last time on May 13th of 2008. And I remember this moment because it was a big moment in my life. Because when you have children, they start as babies and they shit all over the place. But then finally they can use the toilet, but they can't wipe their ass. So you have to wipe their ass. That's the last thing you do for your kid. It's like an intimate bathroom thing, is wipe their ass. And one day it stops. And I remember the day. I said the date, but I don't remember it now because I'm lying. Because I had always wiped her ass all that time, and it's just a thing you do. I didn't even think about it. I said, Daddy, I need a wipe! And then I come in, I'm on the phone, like, yeah, okay. Anyway, so I wiped her ass one day, and she said, thank you very much, Daddy. And I was like, that was a little too eloquent. A thank you for somebody who I just wiped shit out of her asshole. I want to hear like, thank you, Dada. I don't want to hear like, that was very gracious of you, Father.
Daddy!
Hey.
Good morning, Daddy.
Good morning. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why are you awake?
I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
Daddy, can we go out to breakfast?
You want to go out to breakfast now?
You had a bad night. You had a real bad night. The kind of night where you wish you didn't have to have any more nights. had a bad night. Boy, was that a shitty, shitty night. It wasn't your first and it wasn't your worst. But all the same, could somebody please stop these shitty, shitty nights?